What's going on, people? I am Swaver, and this is the Opinionated Facts Media Group podcast, the only podcast you'll ever need to listen to as it pertains to relationships, because we talk to real people in real relationships, and we try to offer real solutions. Of course, you guys know who I am, but I'm joined by my team, Illuminated Lenses, Coco Love, and Journey to Be Great. How y'all doing today?
Good.
Pretty good.
All right. But hey, we got a special guest today. She's going to be sharing some things with us about an experience that she had with domestic violence. And her name is Nicey. How are you doing today, Nicey?
I'm good. Thank y'all.
Hey, it's so good to have you on here because I know so many women go through some of the same things that you're about to talk about today. And I hope that this can be a way for them to kind of see how someone else has gone through what they're going through or going into or have been through, and how you are able to illustrate how you going through it yourself and give them some sort of light or way out. Can you kind of summarize a little bit about what you want women to know today with your story?
Yes, I can. First off, I want women to know any signs there are red flags, especially jealousy, insecurity. That's never going to lead trust issues with that male. Because I experienced all of that in the beginning, and I used to think like maybe he'll change, maybe he'll get better. Even I think we was probably at 3 months and things started to get worse over time. So that's why I'm saying jealousy, trust issues, insecurity, like that's red flags. It shouldn't be that, because we're grown people and we should be able to be who we are. Anytime a person come into your life trying to change you, and this is what I had to go through, and it ended up really bad for me on October 4th this year. I mean, I haven't even went to court about the situation, but we met on Facebook dating app, and everything in the beginning was cool. He was, straight to the point. He was 53 years old.
Hold on.
Okay.
I want to stop right there because I want to kind of capture some of these moments. So,
okay,
may I ask how old you are?
I'm 41.
Okay. So I guess at this point in your life, what made you want to be in a relationship at the time? Like what was motivating you to even get with somebody?
Because I had been single a while. My last relationship, he was younger. Actually, my ex-husband was younger, like by 6 years. So I decided to kind of go older because I was thinking older guys is more mature, but that ain't the case.
No.
That ain't the case at all. Some of them still just as immature as the young ones,
Okay. So when you met him, what drew you to him? I guess like we know now that you wanted someone older, but what was it about him that drew you?
He was real consistent. Like I had been like a lot of people that I had met on the dating app. It was things like we were talking in the daytime, and when it got to be late night, I do like little stuff just to see something. So I would call these other guys, just on the phone and be like, whether it's 9-10, they don't answer. And it was because a lot of those had wives, girlfriend, whatever they had going on, right? So, but this one, the one that I chose, he was just consistent from day one. I mean, if I called him late and, he always answered, he was there. Stuff he told me, after I looked into it further, it checked out to be the truth. It was like almost too good to be true. But I mean, now that I've went through what I've went through, I kind of see that's just how he lured women in, meaning even on, I know we started talking about, like, before we decided to have intercourse, we talked about both going to get tested. He was like, I already got my test. And he sent me this, screenshot of his test results. It was like 3 months before him and I. And, it was just a lot of stuff that he was just throwing out there like too soon, even meeting his family, that was just like right off the bat, you know what I mean? And I was like, man, he different from the West. I honestly thought like it was a good thing because I ain't never had a dude like be like that. You know what I mean? Most of them, it take time, but he was like an open book straight up. And I ain't saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everybody, is gonna be like that, because some people is an open book and they just gonna stay how they are. You know what I mean? So I'm never will say everybody is like him, but it is something to watch.
So basically, not to cut you off. So basically, he was just from the start. He was, honest about what he wanted and everything like that. That's what more so attracted you to him.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
So when was the first time that you not maybe anything physical, but you noticed that, because I know you mentioned insecurity and stuff. So when was the first time you noticed that it was something kind of like everything wasn't all great?
One time when I had like I had a male friend who was just a friend called to like be like, "What's up?" He got really mad about it, and he was like, just went off. And I'm like, this dude have no clue that I'm dating somebody. I said, because we're new. I think it was like we was maybe like at a month and a half, and that was just really verbal. It was just a verbal altercation between him and I. And, he finally just let that go. And then I think at 3 months is when the first time he put his hands around my neck and choked me the first time. And it was a quick choke. It was like I had another guy call me, another friend just checking on me. That's the thing. I'm just cool like that. And these guys ain't nobody who I was dating. They the guys who maybe I work with. They just want to check on me. Hey girl, what's up? How you doing? And he just didn't want that. I mean, he isolated me even from the females I dealt with. I'm actually in a football club, and he didn't want me going to any functions because men was around. So I guess to answer your question, like at a month, is when maybe month and a half is when the verbal stuff started.
Oh,
Right.
I just have a question. So you said you guys were like a month in as far as like get dating and everything. I'm just curious. Like, I mean, I understand you said he was upset, but like, what was his reasoning? Did he just say, "I don't want you talking to anyone else," or did he feel like threatened, I guess, by these other men? Like, I guess I'm just curious as to like what he said.
It was just basically don't talk. He found it disrespectful that I had male friends. And the problem that I seen with him, he have 3 female best friends. Like
And I was just about to ask that.
I can't tell you I have a male best friends. I have male associates, and some I might can say maybe 2 of them I can say like a friend, meaning, if I was in the area and I broke down, I can call and be like, "What's up?" Whether they got a wife, girlfriend, whatever, they'll
Mhm.
come help with her. You know what I mean? It ain't like that with us. But he didn't care about, like, I couldn't do nothing, but he could do everything.
Mm.
So, and these 3 female friends that he is like super cool with him, like, and that was always like, I'm like, you want me to cut off my stuff, but you ain't willing to do. So that was another issue. Anytime a person is in a relationship and they're not willing to compromise, I said, let it go. Just let it go. Because it's not going to work when it's one-sided like that. And that's how it was the entire time. And it just got worse.
Okay. I want to touch on that a little bit too. So what made, I know you're giving the advice to tell other people to let it go, but what made you keep going? What were you feeling at that time to make you keep going?
I was hoping he changed. I was hoping he changed. I mean, I found myself praying, and I'm like, God, help me to just, and I end up loving him. That was really the hardest part, because I end up loving him. And I stayed there, and then I was really sad a lot of times, because of certain ways he moved, his actions. And I never, like I say, spoke out to my family because I didn't want them in my business like that. So I just kept it inside, but I just stayed there really because of the love that I had. And I wasn't, I mean, my heart wouldn't let me go. My mind was telling me to leave, like early on. And a couple of times through the whole year, I did break up with him like 4 times. And he would call me back and blow up my phone and send all these texts. "I love you so much," and yah, yah, yah. And, every time I would just fall weak and go back into that.
So what happened like between, I guess, what you just told us in another month, you start to see these things, and I'm sure other things went on in between, but what was the I guess one action that he took that really, I guess, made you rethink what you were doing? Was it a physical act? Was it something that he said? But everybody has that one thing. It's like you know how it is, like, hey, I never thought that he would do this. Did you have a moment like that? And if so, what was it?
Yeah, that moment when he had a call from one of his friends. He called and she said something to the fact, and I heard the conversation. They was talking, and she was actually telling him something about her boyfriend or whatever, one of his best friends. And when he said, "Hey, I got my baby on the other line. I gotta call my baby back," is what he said. She was like, "I'm talking to you now. She can wait." So I waited. I didn't come because I was on three-way. She didn't know. And I waited. And I asked him later, when they was off the phone, I'm like, "What is that?" That was a red flag to me right there, because it made me feel like this friend is more important than me. And then it was, I know one time he was late getting to my house, which he stayed like 30 minutes, and it took him an hour and a half. And I called him. He never answered. And I called him again, no answer. And then finally, when he finally got to my house, he was like, "Oh, my phone. I seen my uncle at the gas station." And it was them little things like that started to break the trust. And I knew he was on some BS.
Do you feel like, or do you know, like, was he cheating as well, or?
Hey, listen, I will say my intuition, yes, he was, because I know 7 times out of that year is when I really, felt something. And then on one occasion, I actually one night end up going to his apartment, and yes, I walked in the room, and it's a female. He was laying there asleep. And he seemed like he was in a deep sleep. She got up, I just felt something. I went over there. His cousin actually had let me in. And so I will say yes, he cheated. He cheated. But even after that incident, that was early on, like maybe we was at 3 months, I forgave him. I'm like, okay, I say, people make mistakes, just don't let it happen again. The regular me, I've always told myself after what I've been through in my past relationships, things like that, I'm done, so I found myself like forgiving this guy, you know what I mean? And staying into that. And I was like, wow, what are you doing? And over time, I mean, he seemed like he, was doing a lot better. I mean, the female did finally go the hell away, because me and her ended up with some words and stuff like that. So yeah, I can say that was another issue. Yes, he was cheating as well.
How did you and her have some words? Like, what happened for you guys to
because the day when I called in the bed, I took a bunch of pictures of her and him, and I told him after he woke up, I said, "This is what we doing now?" And she just looked like a deer in headlights. I mean, she woke up and her eyes was big, and that's the thing. To this day, he claimed he didn't sleep with her. It's either if they didn't sleep together, they was gonna sleep together when he woke up, because he's one of those people that take melatonin to sleep. I've never had melatonin. I don't know how it do, but I heard it put you in a deep sleep. Because even when I was there, when he woke up, she was like very alert when I bust in the room. And I mean, when I in it, like first going in that door that night, I mean, I seen this body just raised up. I'm like, what the hell? But I felt all that. Like that was something that night I did go with my feelings to see. So that me and her ended up having a conversation outside, and outside of his apartment. And she told me that she had been knowing him for a week. And she just was showing me some texts in her phone where they was texting. He ended up later screenshotting me their conversation, which it was the same thing that she told me, but he again made it, just played it like he was so innocent. And regardless, if they didn't do anything, in my head, they did, because of that situation.
That's crazy. Okay, so just to make sure I'm following, I just want to make sure. So he did not wake up while you were there. He woke up after the fact.
He did, but he had a hard time. Like,
okay, I got you.
He woke up, but and then they was under separate covers. Like he was under one cover, and then she was under another one, but they was both butt naked. Like seriously, the picture. Yeah, the picture's still in my phone as we speak.
Yeah.
I just had deleted them.
Okay, so this wasn't a nap.
No,
we didn't just fall asleep. Okay,
No.
Wow, that's interesting that he gave you such a hard time in the beginning, like a month in or whatever, because of your friends. But then here you're saying like y'all were 3 months in or so, and then he's doing something like that. That's really interesting to me.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of stuff. And like I say, I end up pulling up at the end, like this guy is really narcissistic. Like that's the thing. I ain't never dealt with that type of guy like that. Like he that type of guy who would do something and you questioning yourself, like, am I crazy? Do I need to admit myself in the house? And I was like, I knew I wasn't. And then that's why I end up putting myself in counseling while we was together. Like I did that because I knew I was getting ready to exit. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to be as strong as I needed to be so I could leave. You know what I'm saying? Because my previous marriage and, you know, my relationship for 12 years with my first 3 kids that I never seek counseling for that. And so this is like my third serious relationship with this person, like, you know, and I'm like, wow. So I started preparing myself for the exit, and it helped. It helped. It really did. I'm still in counseling as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. So I know you mentioned like the first time there was a sign of abuse, it was you labeled it as like a quick choke. So in your mind to process it, did you just kind of say, well, it was something happened quick and just kind of dismissed it?
No, I'm not gonna say I dismissed it. I mean, I cried about it and I told him, and I raised up at him. You know what I'm saying? I did. I raised back at him because I'm not one of them women who gonna take stuff like that. So, but he was like, you know, I'm sorry. I felt really bad. I ain't never put my hand on a woman, all that old stupid stuff, which was lies, you know. But no, I won't say I dismissed it. I'm just gonna say I overlooked it. And again, I was hoping that he would change.
What, if you could share that with us, what made him do that?
I got a call. We was in Myrtle Beach. And it was my football club. We was down there celebrating, our team or whatever. And one of my club members ended up calling me, which is a female. And she was like, hey, y'all coming out this way? Because we was like 40 minutes, because that's another thing. He paid for this resort that wasn't around nobody. That's what I'm saying. He always isolated me. I mean, so we was like 40 minutes away from where they was, and she called me or whatever. So long story short, we went out there and stuff, and, you know, we had a good time. And when we got back to that resort is when he got mad because he said this one club member of mine, you know, they had kind of had a couple of words. It was somebody that used to like me, I ain't gonna lie. And I told him about it up front because I didn't want any problems or whatever. What they end up talking that night. And apparently that club member said something about I still like him or something crazy like that. So when we got back to the room is when all that escalated, and, you know, he ended up choking me for the first time then. And as I ran, I did finally when I got up, I actually ran up out of that, you know, it was like an apartment. And I tried to hit the door, and I ended up in the hospital because I hit the door trying to open this screen door, and I tripped. So I was on crutches for like 3 weeks after that. You know, I had fractured my ankle because when I landed, you know, I didn't even make it through the door. He didn't care, and I guess somebody else called the police. The police they came, and I told them everything was okay. They asked me, did I need medical attention or whatever? At that time, I told them no. I never mentioned he put his hands on me because I knew they would take his ass to jail. Excuse my French. I knew they would take him to jail, so I never told on him. And I went to the hospital, and we was there probably about 5 hours. They gave me the crutches, gave me some medicine, and they did the x-ray and wasn't broken. So I was like, okay, cool. You know, it'll heal, and it did. But that was the first time. And I just kept that in.
Oh, okay. I got to put this out, not to cut you off. But for women out there that are listening to this currently, this is a good point to be made. So, Nicey, I want to ask you this question here. Did it benefit you not to tell on him?
No, it didn't, because when the end thing happened, I wish now, what I experienced at the very end, I wish I had a toll on it. So no, it wasn't a benefit, because I could have saved myself a lot of headache.
And I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure I touched on that because I know so many women, they are under this understanding, oh, I'm supposed to hold him down and take whatever it is because this is my man. And you hear that a lot, especially in today's culture. So I just wanted to make sure I touched on that really quickly. But you can go back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
You're good. Yeah, so no, I would tell anybody else. I mean, now, because I mean, I still like even sitting here talking about it now, reflecting back on it, it makes me sad because I know I deserve better, and so I would say to any woman that's going through this, leave, don't give nobody no second chance. I don't care, even verbal. I mean, it was times, like I say, he accused me. He called me a bitch, a couple of times, and I just, stuff like that. You shouldn't talk to somebody who you love like that, and I guess because I'm one of those women that have, tougher skin than some women see, because I will fight. I will. I just didn't get too rowdy with him because it would have been a real bad situation for me. So especially if I'm out of town, you feel what I'm saying? Like I ain't around nobody, I don't know nobody, so I just had to play my little position then. But so no, I just I would tell anybody now to to save their self because women. I used to see this on TV, and I'm like, wow, she ended up dead. I'm like, oh, so sad, and I finally went through my first episode of some man that tried to kill me.
And I just want to say I know this is tough and it's still kind of fresh because I know you said it was just something back stuff going on last month. But could you kind of describe like the last incident that you had with him that kind of got into the point where it's now court cases and things like that going on?
Okay, this last incident happened October 4th this year. I was we had started couples counseling because he recommended it. So we went to one session of that. So I'm like, okay, he trying to do better. We had the one session. It was a Monday. He had started to move into my house with me because he was giving up his place so that we can both like, save money or whatever. And I was going to allow it because normally I'm that person that says, no, you got to marry me before we shack. But due to, him and it was like finances, he got his own trucking company. So that was another thing I think that helped me. And I tell anybody, don't let money ever keep you in a bad situation. I make my own money. Yes, I've always been a hustler myself, but it was a lot of extra money I saved while I was with him. And I think that's the biggest reason why I put up with so much BS from him. So it was a Monday. It was, like I said, October 4th, I think, to be exact. And that Sunday, he had used my truck my pickup truck, to go haul something for his brother. And I drove my truck that Monday morning to work. I called him because I found this little packet that was on my seat. I didn't know what it was, like an Amazon little baggy thing. And it was inside it, it said sex enhancement pills. So I called him and I said, hey, I said, what do you got these for? I said, you ain't never use these on me. And he said, oh, that's a promotion. He said they send me those things time to time. Okay. I'm like, okay, I ain't tripping. But it was something that didn't set right. So I drive trucks as well. So I went ahead and hauled my load where I had to go. And when I got back to park my truck, I said, man, something just ain't feeling right in my spirit. So I went back to my pickup truck and I opened this baggie and in there was this invoice which had his name. It was sent to his mother's address and it was the last four digits of his credit card number. So I called him again and that was maybe at 1:00 that evening. And I said, hey, you told me this is a promotion, but it's showing you paid $9.95 for shipping and handling. He tell me, I don't know what you're talking about. Hey, let me call you back. I got a driver calling. Okay, at this point, I'm getting real irritated. I'm getting pissed off because I know he's lying. So I'm like, okay, cool. So he called back maybe 30 minutes later. He had his brother on the phone, and his brother was like, hey, bro, I'm just letting you know, I sent those pills to mama address, and I forgot to let you know that I put your name on them. And I said, hey, and that's why I was on the phone, because I said he called me and then called his brother. And I said, you know what? Both of y'all are some liars. And I hung up, and I never did talk to him no more that day. So I get off at 5 o'clock for my first job. So that afternoon, I end up calling, no answer. I called him again, no answer. The third time, it went straight to voicemail. He turned his phone off. The fourth time, voicemail again, the phone off. So I ain't called no more. I said, okay. So I came on home, and I'm like, okay, I'm just thinking, it's Monday night. I'm like, you know what? I ain't about to let this stuff get to me. I said, I'm about to can his butt. And I'm about to go watch Monday Night Football at some bar. So I never made it to the bar. I got dressed or whatever. Remind you, he was moving in. He had bought his bags. I think he had like 5 bags of clothes over here. And he had, he came about, I was getting ready to walk out the house. And it maybe been about 9:15. He walked through the door. And he had this bad look on his face. He didn't say nothing to me. He didn't speak. He barely looked at me. He walked right past me, walked upstairs, and came in the bedroom. And he was like, nothing happened there because I was still downstairs. So I was like, I went upstairs to get came upstairs. I'm upstairs now, but came to my room upstairs to get another piece of clothing because it was kind of cool this night. And that's when I walked through the door and I threw him those pills. I said, these are your pills. And I flicked them over, to him. And, he just laid there. He didn't say nothing. And anyway, after that, he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm about to leave. He said, you ain't going no fucking where. What you going to do is get in this bed and you're going to lay your ass down, and I said, you don't tell me what to do. I said, I'm a grown ass woman was my exact words. And I noticed he jumped up really quick. He started putting his shirt on, started putting on his pants. And as I was standing on the other side of the bed, I got a king size bed. So he came all the way around, and that's when he grabbed me by my hair. And he said, I told your fucking ass you ain't going nowhere. And at this moment, I said, get your hand off me, get your hand off me. And he continued with that. And then that's when he pushed me down on the bed. Like he pushed me down and he still had my hair. And that's when he just put his hand around my throat the first time. He did it really quick. I got up. I still proceeded to go in my closet. When I got in my closet is when all the bad stuff took place. I was in the corner and I was going through my hangers, and he walked in and he grabbed me with both hands around my throat. And that's when he started to choke me. And I don't remember exactly everything he said to me. All I remember is I was praying to God. I was like, God, let me out of this, And I really couldn't scream. I had one daughter that was in the house with me, my only daughter to stay with me. She's 13, but she couldn't hear me because of where my walk-in closet is. And then I got a loft, and then it's her room on over. So she couldn't hear nothing because she have a fan on all the time too. So anyway, he choked me till I fell. And when I fell, my head went back. And I got some boxes that got some clothes when I moved in this house in February. I haven't, took them out the box because I can't fit them. They like a smaller size than what I am now. So I haven't took them out. So you can see what my head print still to this day is on this box, the little round circle. And that was evidence for the police, but I'll get to all that. So I fell back, after being choked, and I'm trying to catch my breath. I can't really breathe. And that's when I just said, please leave me alone. And at that time, I thought I was pregnant by him because I didn't know for sure. And I said, you doing all this to me, and I'm carrying your child. Then when I got off the boxes, from that, I laid flat on the floor, like my back, my head, I was just flat. That's when he took his right foot and he stood on my neck. And he said, bitch, I'll make you drink bleach and get that baby out of you. After that happened, he reached down and he took his index finger and his middle finger and he squeezed my face so tight. He made both sides of my mouth bleed on the inside because my teeth, from that squeeze, my teeth was, my jaws was into my teeth with his fingers in my face like that. And I just cried and I just prayed and I just prayed. And I just prayed and I just prayed. I didn't do nothing because at this point in my head, I can't make a sudden move because this man is really going to kill me. So, and I knew it. He was that mad. His voice wasn't even a normal voice. It was like a demon speaking, just thinking back on that voice. And then when I finally was able to get up, I got up. He was still saying a whole bunch of stuff. I remember him calling me a whore, and I don't know what else. I can't even, it was like awesome. I can't tell y'all what else. But I was able to get out my room, and that's when I ran to my daughter's room, and I said, call 911 now. She got on her iPhone, and she called like 3 people on like the iPhone video thing. FaceTime is what it is. She called like 3 people on FaceTime and they called the police. So my 13-year-old, while they was going toe to toe, now they're arguing. And she like, you don't put your hand on my mama, da 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 da, and he's like, he wanted to hit her. Then he kept coming at me. But the only reason he didn't attack me again in the loft is because she was watching. So I hurry up while they was arguing. I hurry up, ran in my room where I keep my gun. I got my gun. I hurry up and put the cartridge down, loaded it. And I had on a coat that night. Remind y'all I was about to go out. So I had on this long coat. I had put the gun in my coat pocket. So he didn't know the gun was on me. And I said, if this man touched me again, I'm about to blast him away. So they arguing. The police been called by the people that was on the iPhone, on the video FaceTime. So at that point, he ended up calling his mom, and he told his mom, he said, I'm done, mother. And she said, how long you gonna deal with something like that? And he said, I'm done this time. And sure enough, he called this other guy, who I know, who is a friend to him. And this was like after him and my daughter kept going at it, and he knew the police was on the way. He told the guy, he said, if I go to jail, I want you to come back and I want you to kill her and everybody in this house. And, I wasn't really worried about the person who he called, but that dude ain't going to be on that. Even now, I may be moving most likely in February because, of what just happened. So after all that happened, he ended up coming back in the room to start with me again. And that's when I upped the gun on him. And when I did that, he went from this demonic demon to, baby, what are you doing? Put the gun down. He had some cigarettes in his pocket and he was trying to take out, I don't know, trying to get a cigarette. Like his hand was really shaking. The box is open and everything, but he couldn't even get the cigarette out. He was so terrified because I had a gun on him. And he kept, and he said something else. And at this point, I'm crying. I'm still crying. And I'm like, and I got, and he, after the baby, what are you doing? I went to pull the trigger and just kill him. And my safety was on my gun. And after that, I was like, you know what? I started to back up. I still had the gun on him. I backed up out of my room door back into the loft. He got on the phone with 911. He called 911. He said, my girlfriend, she got a gun on me. She's trying to kill me. He flipped it that quick. I could hear what was going on in the bathroom, but I didn't care. So after that, they on the way, they got 2 separate calls going on now from him and the people that's on this FaceTime. So I seen him, I backed all the way up, like I said, while I was in the loft, and I seen him walk out the room. He walked downstairs and he walked out the front door. I went to the front door and I locked the front door. And when I peeped out the window, I could see that he was removing his firearm because at that time, he was in one vehicle, but his other vehicle was already over my house because I told y'all he was moving with me. So he put his firearm in the other vehicle because this guy was already a convicted felon, so you shouldn't have a gun anyway. So he was doing that to save his butt. He called himself leaving. They had already arrested him by the time the actual officers got to speak to me. He was already in handcuffs. And so when they got in, they asked me if I wanted to go to the hospital. I told them no. I said, I'm fine. I said, it's embarrassing. I said, the neighborhood I live in, it's one of them upper class neighborhoods. And I didn't want my neighbors looking at that. I ain't want to look like that. So I turned it down. And the paramedic, she kept saying, "You sure you don't want to go to the hospital?" And I said, "No, ma'am." Now I know why, because I ended up going, but she was wanting me to go because they wouldn't have been able to hit him with a felony. So what happened was, when he got arrested for assault on a female and false imprisonment, which is a misdemeanor. He got that because of the incident, and that happened in the closet. So I was in the hospital, which is the 5th. I was in the hospital all day long. They had a special unit come in and they had all these little neat machines. And I mean, they looking at my eyeballs. I got blood clots that's going through my eyes. I didn't even know if somebody choked you long enough. The lady was like, your eyes will pop out, ma'am. I never knew that. So, because I ain't never had nobody choke me, and I don't know too many people that be getting choked. But I could see the lines of red, like veins of blood clots, like running through my eyes on both sides. They took pictures of that. They took pictures of my neck. You could see where his handprint was around my neck. I had a puncture wound on my thigh. I had bruises all over me, and that was all the stuff that happened. I don't know. It might have been a pin. The police seen it was a pin on the floor. That might have been a little thing that punched in my leg. I don't know, because it was all so crazy. So anyway, after I got done with that, he had bonded out of jail on the misdemeanors, and October 6th, he was rearrested for a felony strangulation. So, and I was happy about that and that's what we eventually got to go to court about. All of them actually, but that's going to be the thing that's going to get him to where he won't do that again to nobody else. And like I tell anybody, I don't wish nothing bad on this man except whatever God got for him. I just don't want him to never do that to another woman, because what I went through, I wouldn't do that to my worst enemy or animal, anything. It was terrible. And that's my story.
I'm so sorry that you went through that. Like, hearing that, I mean, as a woman, just anyway, it just makes me so angry. That he would do that, not only with your daughter in the house, like he's getting into it with a 13-year-old, like, and it could have been so much worse. So I just thank God that you all are okay, and that you're here to tell this story and, move on from it. And like you said, I hope he gets whatever he deserves so that he does not do this again to anyone else.
And going forward, I take it you're still doing counseling?
Yeah, I'm still in counseling. I also have a psychiatrist. They want to medicate me. I mean, I do have the Zoloft here. I'm not taking it because I drive. I've been doing a lot better. I've been praying, and that's what I'm saying. That changes a lot. And also, I understand, my mental and where I'm at in my life. I didn't do anything to this man. He's just a sick man. And that's all I can say. And I think between all that, that's why I was able to just move on. Like my faith is still a little low some days, because I come home, it's like, I don't want to leave my house. I only been here since February, and it's like I didn't, this is my house, and I'm giving up my house because of this idiot, and then other days it's like, just go ahead and move, you never know what this guy gonna do, so it's a lot of emotional stuff some days for me, but it's been actually getting better because I've been, just like I say, praying a lot, and I know God don't want me living in fear. I do carry my gun everywhere I go. I always, I'm always looking behind me, even when I'm driving. I'm watching everything. I'm telling you, it was, my second job one night, I seen this car behind me, and, it looked like his black car with the rims on it. And I end up pulling out my gun really quick, and come to find out it was just some other driver that was going to the other side of the lot to get in their truck. So, but that's how much I'm paying attention now. So, but yeah, I'm still in counseling, and I'm going to continue that. I'm going to continue meeting with the psychiatrist, because one thing I want is to have some closure. I've never been in a situation where it was so much trauma, and it's still hard. I mean, it's hard telling y'all about it. It's going to be hard when I go to court, but I know God got me. That's all I can say. Like, God got me. So, right. I tell any woman, some people ain't going to make it out as easy. When I found out strangulation, anytime a male do that to a woman, 9 times out of 10, women died. So I was just one of those lucky women that's still here to tell my story. So I don't care any red flags like that with a man, whatever woman leave, because there's so many women that die. And I never thought I would be that victim like that. And I that's what I'm saying. Leave. Don't sit there and think he gonna change. And I know sometimes we're hard-headed. We don't want to listen. We want to keep in something, but it might not be as easy for the next woman like it was for me to just still be here. So leave, before it gets bad. Because it starts off, with verbal and little stuff. And that's what happened with me. It escalated. It wasn't all that stuff in the beginning. So I'm saying those major red flags like that, man, leave, run.
I do want to say, to add to what Coco said, I'm so happy that you were able to come to terms with what it really is and get yourself in a position to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that I'm also proud of you too for not, just accepting that and then realizing that I can have better, I can do better, and I don't have to stay in this. That takes some real willpower to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And also to come on here and talk about your story with us. I'm so thankful. And I know the women that are listening to this podcast can get something from this. I mean, just thank you so much for sharing and just giving us the truth.
If I can save somebody from going through what I went through, I definitely would love to, because it's still something I'm dealing with. And I still have my days, where I may be driving and I cry, but after a while, like I said, I pray, I listen to music, I find something to occupy my mind so that it won't take me back to that day. Because I'm still getting over this, and I don't know how long it's going to take. And I asked a young lady last week, she went through something for years with a husband, and she stayed there. And I asked her, I said, I need some help. How did you learn to manage that? She said, you can't manage it. She said, I just do my daily stuff. Because even her new husband now, she told me, in the beginning with them, she was very messed up, where she used to want to try to attack him because, it was stuff he would say, and it reminded her and see, that's why I'm in counseling, because I don't want, whenever I do get another relationship, I don't want to let what happened to me affect the next man when he might be totally different. You know what I'm saying? But because she was saying it was just little stuff, and if her husband walked up too fast to her, she freaks out because of the ex-husband. She just, you build up that. So I don't know. So and that's what she told me. She said, you never get over it. That you never get, once you go through the trauma, and it was a nightmare for me. It really was. But, like I say, I don't dwell on it. I think that's the thing that's helping me. I don't sit and dwell on it. I don't consume that in my brain. I just do me and be happy like I was before him. And I'm going to keep doing that. And to that, what he did to me, I just say F him. He going to get his.
For sure. Again, we always try to tell everybody thank you for coming on and sharing their story, because these are, to our audience, these are real people in real relationships, and they are taking the time to offer solutions to you. Now, again, we aren't therapists, but I do think that when you hear stuff like this, it could put you or give you some type of reference for what you should or could do if you're facing the same situations that Nicey has gone through. But again, I want to thank y'all so much for listening to us today and just giving us your time. If you're going through anything like this, don't forget, always go and seek real help. That's very important. And even like she said, sometimes you don't even realize that you need the help. But if you can't realize it, pay attention to some of the things that she said, because it may have become normal to you. So get the proper help and save yourself from all the drama. I am Swaver, joined by Illuminated Lenses, Coco Love, Journey to Be Great, our special guest today, Nicey. This is the Opinionated Facts Media Group podcast, the only podcast you ever need to listen to when it comes to relationships. Until next time, peace.